Hello and welcome to my channel, Stitches with Love. My name is Elizabeth and this is my little corner of the world where I share all about my knitting adventures on and off the needles. And today I have several things on the needles to show you because I want to share how I knit my socks. So if that's something that interests you, grab a cup of something cozy and come along with me. I finally made my coffee at about 8:30 this morning because I just wasn't quite ready for it when I woke up this morning. It's delicious. I'm having some salted caramel espresso. All right. So those of you that know me or have been watching these videos for a little while know that I am very rarely not knitting. And a pretty good portion of what I knit is socks. There are some different ways to knit socks if you aren't already aware of that. And I wanted to share a few of them with you today. So the first way that I learned how to knit socks way back in college, I think I was about 18, maybe 19 years old, was using double pointed knitting needles. And it is still my preferred way of knitting socks simply because it's what I'm most comfortable using. It's what I'm used to doing most often. And because I really just love the feel of how they fit in my hands. I love the look of it. I can still get socks done pretty quickly using double pointed needles. It's very calming, it's very relaxing, and it makes me feel like I have more of a connection with generations past who were also knitting socks, because this is the way it would have been done with double pointed needles. And so this is just how I do it. The drawback to having double pointed needles for sock knitting is, particularly if you're on the go a lot, travel like I do, is it's a lot easier to drop and or lose a needle. So if you're going to be traveling with these, I would highly recommend that you pack an extra set of the same size you are using and save yourself some tears and trouble later on, because not every town has a knitting shop where you can pop in and replace them. Not that I would know at all. All right. The second method I want to share with you is using one long circular needle. And for this, you want a 32-inch needle. I find that that is just the right size for knitting a single sock. And you're going to just do the magic loop method. If you're not familiar with that, you can very easily Google it or find it on YouTube or ask another knitter to show you. But it's really just using one needle on a cable, and you're just going to knit just like this all the way around. And that's all there is to it. It's so easy to do. I like this method because it really doesn't take up a lot of space. It seems a little more compact to me because everything is on the cable. You can kind of hold your hands close together. With the double pointed needles, they're kind of sticking out. And so if you're sitting close to somebody or that's uncomfortable, it can get a little fiddly. But this is a very comfortable method. It's very efficient, and there is absolutely no danger of losing a needle like there is with double pointed. Just a minute, there's somebody at the door. So when I'm on the go or traveling or I'm at work, or really even if I'm just at home, this is a really great method because it's just easy. I need to get the door. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. My little guy needed some assistance. So great method if you're traveling and on the go, Or even if you're not and you just don't want to be bothered with using 4 or 5 needles at a time like you would with a double pointed system. The next method I want to show you also uses a single a single circular needle. This is a 32-inch circular needle. Ideally, most knitters who do this would probably recommend a 40-inch circular. I have found a 32-inch works just as well for knitting 2 socks at a time, although I will say it is a little more snug. So if for comfort and ease you want to go up to a 40-inch, by all means. These are cast on and worked at the same time, which means they get finished at the same time, which also means that the gauge, the tension, everything about the socks is exactly identical, because you're doing them all at the same time. Now, I really like this method for that reason. And if I want to be sure I have a pair done at the same time, this is the method I would do. It's not one I've done very often, and I'm still kind of on the fence about how I like it, because when you get to the heel, things get a little bit finicky, and really after that, it's all smooth sailing. I like this method a lot. I don't think I would make it my go-to. I think I would do this more when I just want to change things up a little bit, or I don't really want to knit a second sock. I would say for me, this is the method that probably takes the most time because I'm not super confident with it and because you have more stitches on the needles. So that adds, I think, a little bit to the time it takes. And the final method that I want to share with you today is the one that I have most recently learned how to do. And so far, I'm really liking it. So this is a size 9-inch circular knitting needle. It's a very small space to be knitting in. And that's great because it doesn't take up a lot of space. You don't have needles sticking out. There's no needles to lose because, like the previous 2 methods, it's all one needle. But the space you're working in is much smaller. The hands are much closer together. This one was a little fiddly to learn simply because those first few rounds are kind of tricky. The cast on and joining and then working the first few rounds was a little uncomfortable because I've never done this method before and my hands are really close together and the stitches are really close together. But this seems to be the quickest method so far because everything is so close. There's no switching needles, there's no turning anything. It's just working in the round and around and around. I would say so far, I would likely do this method again. It's not as difficult or uncomfortable as I had initially thought it would be. I watched a lot of videos on how to do each of these methods as I learned them, and that was extremely helpful. So if you want to learn how to do any of these sock knitting methods and you don't have someone that can sit down and show you, there are a lot of great books at the library. There's a lot of great online resources. I have learned a lot just using YouTube to show me, and that has been really, really helpful. The only thing so far that I can think of that is going to be a bit of a challenge is when I get down to picking up the gusset stitches and working the heel. I'm not really quite sure how that's going to go because when I was watching the videos on how to do that, it just looked like it might be a little bit fiddly and a bit of a challenge. But I'm okay with that. I think it's important to have our brains be challenged and learn new things. Um, so that part might get a little fussy until I'm really confident with it, just like anything else I've learned. But the other thing is, unlike the other three methods I showed you, is when I get down to the toe decreases, I'm not going to be able to keep using this very short needle because I won't have the ability to bring it around and do a magic loop method. And it's just, it's not going to work. So at the toe decreases, I will go down to either a double pointed needle set or a magic loop method with a longer circular, and it will be just fine. So if you're using this method, just be aware you're going to have to, at the end, switch over to, excuse me, switch over to a different method just to finish the toes. All right, that's all I've got to share with you today. I hope that you are inspired to try a different sock knitting method if you already knit. And if you've never knit socks, I'm kind of curious to know, what method would you try first? And if you have been knitting socks for quite some time, um, do you do any of these methods, and which ones do you like? Put a comment down below. If you liked this video and you want to see more of my knitting adventures, don't forget to subscribe. I do try to hop on here at least once a week. You can find me on YouTube at the symbol Stitches with Love, all one word, and my name is Elizabeth. Until next time, happy knitting and many blessings.